Caitlyn Jenner is speaking out against the LGBTQ+ community, and it's causing a lot of frustration as there are so many layers to this story in particular, so let's get into everything. Caitlyn Jenner for the last few years has made some pretty controversial comments when speaking on trans rights and the LGBTQ+ community as a whole. And Caitlyn, being an extremely connected celebrity with a very powerful voice, has the ability to really use that power for good and advocate for the best in her community. But a lot of people have felt as though the opposite has been happening, and it's very upsetting to see. The past few weeks, one of these upsetting incidents occurred, and in order to explain it clearly, I need to introduce you to a TikToker named Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan has been documenting her transition publicly, sharing daily videos on girlhood. Dylan was recently invited to the White House, where she was able to speak to the president, getting to ask him important questions regarding the protection of trans rights. This leads us to Caitlyn's involvement and how this all became a very problematic situation, and how this really amazing opportunity for Dylan turned into so much more. Shortly after the video was posted of Dylan at the White House, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn took to Twitter to post a TikTok from Dylan's page and said this: "Dylan Mulvaney, Joe Biden, and the radical left-wing lunatics want to make this absurdity normal." Caitlyn Jenner showed support to Marsha by quote tweeting this and said, "At Marsha Blackburn, thank you for speaking out and having a backbone. One of the best senators we have. Let's not normalize any of what this person is doing. This is absurdity." It's actually crazy to even read that out loud, and also just crazy to read that knowing that's something Caitlyn Jenner is saying. Someone who should most certainly be supportive of Dylan and her efforts trying to advocate for trans rights. And this video of Dylan that was posted has literally nothing to do with politics. It's just her talking about her outfit that she wore to the mall.
Day 74 of being a girl, round of applause for the makeup. And I wore this outfit shopping today. And I thought that these might be my new shopping shorts. But I was walking around and everyone was staring. And I was like, oh, okay, what's going on? And they were all staring directly at my crotch. And I went, oh, I forgot that my crotch doesn't look like other women's crotches sometimes, because mine doesn't look like a little Barbie pocket. And I thought, okay, Dylan, you have some options here. Number one, you can stop wearing clothes that fit like this and just find looser fitting items. Number two, I can do a tuck, which is gonna have to be a whole other video, but it's very painful and involved or number three, I just normalize it and I wear clothes like this, and we all just normalize women having bulges sometimes, because we're coming up on bikini season, baby, and you might see a bulge or two. So normalize the bulge. We are normalizing the bulge.
Caitlyn only continued spreading hate towards Dylan and even misgendered Dylan in a tweet defending what she wrote, saying he is talking about his privates. Which, that's literally not even the point of Dylan's video. And why are we misgendering here, Caitlyn? Caitlyn continued the next day and quote tweeted this article that was posted by the New York Times that said, "Caitlyn Jenner slams trans activist Dylan Mulvaney." And Caitlyn said, "There's a difference between acceptance and tolerance. In normalizing exposing your privates in a public way and a public place. I do not support that at all in the slightest. Dylan, congrats, you're trans with a..." Which, what? I don't know, you guys, I showed you what Dylan posted on her TikTok, and Caitlyn is over here trying to misinterpret that simple TikTok and make it seem like some creepy, weird, nasty thing. Like, I'm not understanding. And that's also so dangerous to spread this message around that Dylan is doing something other than just being herself and posting a really candid TikTok on her account. Dylan ended up responding to Caitlyn on TikTok, though, in an incredibly well-spoken manner. I mean, truly, this was the response of all responses. I couldn't have said it better myself.
It's day 233 of being a girl, and this video is for Caitlyn Jenner. Hi, Caitlyn. I'm Dylan, and we are two of the most privileged trans women in America at the moment. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. And although we have very different views on most things, a few days ago, I probably would have still been willing to sit down with you and try to connect with you in some way, because I automatically have a lot of respect for you as a fellow trans woman. But then you decided to ridicule me very publicly. And honestly, this tweet didn't faze me all that much. But then this one made me go, ah!
Not you calling me a he. That is just, oh, terrible. But then you didn't stop there. You're making me sound like I'm some creepy flasher exposing myself. And in this moment, I am not as comfortable talking about my private parts as I was when I made that video, and it felt like I got outed. And I didn't fully know how to tuck that early on, and I was still wearing men's Calvin Klein underwear. But after that video, 2 amazing trans women gifted me tucking panties and taught me how because they could tell I was struggling. And I'm just curious if you can think back to your early days of transitioning and remember being embarrassed about your body or having strangers give you dirty looks. That's why I made that video, because I was embarrassed and I wanted to reclaim my body in a positive way. And now you've taken that and you've turned it into something really ugly. And I didn't start Days of Girlhood because being a woman sounded fun. I started this series because of the unspoken shame of being newly trans. And this whole situation makes me not want to share my surgical plans because there are so many trans women who don't have access to it or they don't want it, and it doesn't make them any less of a woman. You know, funny enough, one of the only things that we do have in common is that I'm going to one of your surgeons. You know, I'm not as far along as you. Please be patient. And, you know, now that I think about it, I don't even think I have interest in getting to know you because the way you use your platform to publicly degrade me, it told me everything I needed to know about you.
Dylan continues to tell Caitlyn why it is so hurtful that she is going around saying things like this.
And a trans person invalidating another trans person's transness is pretty evil in my eyes. Like, the call is coming from inside the house. It's coming off very selfish. You know, is no one else allowed to be trans? I, for one, am excited to welcome anyone into our community. But you've been accepted by a group of people that clearly does not accept me. And nearly every day this week, I have been called a freak, a child predator, an absurdity. I am none of those things that your cohorts are painting me to be. And my question for you is, don't you feel a little lonely over there? These people that you're standing with, I don't know if they have your best intentions at heart, but they will use you to make me in the trans community life like a lot harder than it already is. And I would never tell any of my followers to go shame you for any of this or to misgender you. And if you're a follower watching, please don't go after Caitlyn because I already know how difficult it is to be publicly trans. Yet you have personally subjected me to thousands and thousands of hateful eyes, a number of which could very well want to hurt me. And that's how much power you have. You are Woman of the Year. This is not Woman of the Year behavior. And some of the greatest people in my life are trans. Shouldn't we be doing everything in our power to make their lives easier? I haven't done nearly enough, but at least I'm trying. And I'm not going anywhere. This isn't some trend for me. I'm going to keep trying to be happy and to build a beautiful life filled with other trans people. And I hope that you too will start taking care of our community. You know, we have a lot of potential for positive change, the two of us, or we can make it a hell of a lot worse for all of them. So, which is it going to be?
Caitlyn ended up going on a Twitter rant saying that as a result of all of this, she has received an alarming amount of hate and she has never experienced this to this degree. She said, "I have never received more threats to my team, nasty hate mail than this week. It is all from the so-called inclusive LGBT community. I am so disgusted by the hateful individuals threatening my life for giving my opinions on news topics of the day." Now, I will say, Caitlyn, that's not all you were doing. You weren't saying, "This is the news today." You chose to repost something Marsha Blackburn posted that was very much against the LGBTQ plus community, very much against trans rights. And I don't know how you didn't think that you were going to get backlash from that because you are part of that and you should be advocating for that. And here you are saying inclusive in quotes, like you are literally not being inclusive yourself. And you're expecting the LGBT community to include you when this is how you're talking about the members? That's insane to me. But Caitlyn continued saying, difference of opinion, dialogue, and conversation is critical to making progress as society. Trying to shut me down by threatening my life over and over will never stop me from speaking my opinion. Never. Now, threats are never okay. Let me say that. But Caitlyn, what you were not doing was trying to start a conversation. You weren't trying to have any sort of conversation. So I don't even know what you're talking about, this progress of society, when all I've seen you do on your Twitter as of this past week in this situation is try and bring someone else down. But Caitlyn continued once again saying the LGBT community is not a community, it is a demographic. I love so many in it, but being an outspoken common sense conservative in it is dangerous. The left has reached new levels of violence and intolerance. So sad to see. I mean, let's take politics out of it for a second. What you were doing on Twitter the other day, it was nasty. And the video that was posted of Dylan had nothing to do with politics. Nothing to do with politics. If you guys were critiquing something she had said in the interview with Biden, okay, but you picked a very random video from her page and decided to critique her on that and not her political stance. So I don't want to hear anything about we're trying to have an educational conversation, you bringing me down. Like, you're bringing someone down for no reason right now other than Marsha Blackburn decided to hate on her and you decided to support that hate. Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous. I mean, I just truly cannot process reading this and hearing Caitlyn say that she is upset she is getting hated on when she directly called hate towards Dylan and supported hate towards Dylan a few days earlier. It is actually crazy. Like, you said you don't support Dylan and then expect people to do what with that information? People were obviously going to go to her page and say nasty things, and yet here you are blaming the community for standing up for her. You're talking about the LGBT community is not inclusive. You're the hater outside right now. Something you weren't doing is supporting her. And now you're mad because the people that were there for her aren't supporting you because you are the one that brought the hate towards her. It's ridiculous, this whole thing. You supported a message hurting her and directly chose to participate in that hateful conversation, and now you're upset that people are coming for you. I mean, seriously, it's unbelievable. Obviously, like I said, nobody should receive threats whatsoever. That's unacceptable. But this is extremely backwards to say all of this and continuing to target the community in such a hateful way, spreading this message to your followers saying that this community is not a community and these people are hateful. That is a dangerous message. Of course, those people are going to bite back at you. That's just, I mean, come on now. But I mean, it's crazy. I don't know how she expected people to hear the things that she is saying and just sit there and take it. Like, what? Now, Caitlyn did not apologize for what was said originally about Dylan, but she did want to touch on the subject of misgendering and blamed that part on her team, which, okay. But in a tweet from the Washington Examiner, they said Caitlyn had apologized and she wanted to clarify that by saying, misleading headline, you have to read my full statement, which says, Miss Jenner has no further comment on the matter and stands by her statements otherwise. Someone on my team called Dylan he. That is what was regretted and has been handled internally. Like, what, your team took your phone for a second? If your team is the one tweeting for you, like, what? I'm honestly speechless at this whole thing, and it's just so upsetting that this is what has come of all of this drama. And honestly, what Dylan said, I totally agree with her. Everything was so eloquently said. That is just that. It's disappointing that Caitlyn wants to be like this, spreading these hateful messages and continuing to target people that she really should be lifting up. But that is what's going on with Caitlyn Jenner. It is very disappointing to see, and I definitely want to know what you guys think. Have you guys heard about this? A lot of people have been tagging me on TikTok about the situation. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.